The big secret that DC Comics hinted at the beginning of Infinite Frontier, who is Red X, is finally here. We know who the character behind Red X in Teen Titans Academy is. This is my underwhelmed face. I think a lot of people are going to feel that way. Many of you told me in my last Tim Sheridan video about Teen Titans Academy that you had stopped reading the series by issue number 5 or 6 because you didn't feel like we were going to get the Red X payoff fast enough. And I think you've made the right choice. We finally got the details. DC Comics has been hinting at this and saying that this is the most important thing that you could ever want. And this was really the main selling point of the entire Teen Titans Academy series, which I have said was garbage since day number 1. And I think in issue number 12, I hope people understand why Tim Sheridan is on my never buy list. We're going to get to the details quick, but I do want to say I have had a strange day. It is my 44th birthday. I feel a little bit older today. It's just been really weird. We had a good time, took the kids to the pool, had some fun, had a nice lunch and everything. And then my internet's gone out. Both of my little boys, they woke up like at 1 a.m. and it's just one of those days. I ate a bad Vienna sausage. That was tragic. But my wife and kids did give me some nice presents. You can see in the corner where there's normally a lava lamp. It actually has a Thinking Critical logo. My wife got me a lamp for the show, so it'd be there for you guys to see, and I could promote the channel a little bit. It is so bright that it just shows up as like a white square. So that was that didn't work, but I did get these really awesome throw pillows behind me for the couch. My wife got me those, so we got some nerd cred on the couch now. So those are some upgrades as far as I'm concerned, and I hope everyone is as lucky as I am to have that special someone like my wife is to me, that supports me in all my nerdy endeavors and, I don't know, just treats me like I'm somebody really special, even though I know I'm just some schlub and I'm nobody of consequence or importance. That's not the way she treats me. You know what I mean? I hope you guys all have that too. Let's get into Teen Titans Academy number 12, the big reveal of who Red X is. And there's some funny stuff going on here. I do want to say right up front, I'm glad that Rafa Sandoval didn't have to illustrate this comic book, because this first picture that you see was Stitch. I think that's the character's name, that is a non-binary, I don't know, quilt person. And he's got like a tutu on and stuff. Really strange stuff, but they're fighting Red X. They're finally going to get the big reveal. We got some kid with a Batman logo on his shirt, looks pretty buff. And they've got Red X dead to rights. Dick Grayson, who was absolutely connected to Red X, he was the very first Red X. Apparently, this is the 4th. Tells him, you take that mask off. We finally get the big reveal, what you've all been waiting for. And the Red X is Brick Pederoso. I imagine a lot of you have the same face I do, going, who the fuck is Brick Pederoso? I thought this was the big reveal. This is supposed to be this huge mystery that we're all supposed to be paying every single month for 12 months straight. This has been built up for a year. Brick Pederoso. That's the big payoff. Well, it actually isn't. There's a little bit of a swerve going on here, but that's the character that's within Teen Titans Academy that is Red X. When he was introduced in the first few issues, it certainly felt like his general demeanor and just the way he carried himself that he was likely to be a candidate to be Red X. But I couldn't make it after 2 issues. I had to fall off, even though I do love Teen Titans. And that is one of the most underwhelming reveals in the history of comics, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think anybody bought 12 issues of Teen Titans Academy for Brick Pederoso, the metahuman with the ability to generate EMP pulses. I don't think anyone came to the dance for that. And I do think Tim Sheridan probably let down a lot of people that had some faith that he was going to deliver on the promise of who is Red X. And I'm going to go into some details of some things that he said in interviews and whatnot, and why this is such a big letdown, and why it could have been expected, just going on his own words. But as I mentioned, this was not actually the big reveal. This was the swerve, because we find out, according to Brick, he believes that Dick Grayson is his father. And one of the characters says, of course, Pederoso means Robin. Apparently in another language, probably Italian or something. He must be Nightwing's son. Rags, Stitch, whatever the character's name is, the only one that says that makes no sense. That is essentially the reader insert character, apparently. And they go through and he's like, yes, you're my father. And Dick Grayson's like, Brick, I'm sorry. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not your father. He's like, you don't say it. He's crying. I guess it's supposed to be a big emotional moment. Of course, most readers are just going, who the fuck is Brick Pederoso. Did I just pay for 12 issues of a comic book for this to be the reveal? But I think this is supposed to be emotionally compelling, and there's a bigger swerve right around the corner. I don't think Tim Sheridan and the editors thought this out very well, but apparently the fourth Red X is the one that told Brick that he was the son of Dick Grayson, and he put him up to this, and he explains it almost Scooby-Doo style, but not nearly as compelling as an actual Scooby-Doo villain. I needed you to hate him the way I hate him, all of them. I needed you to feel that your life had been robbed from you by the Titans the way mine was. I needed a tool of revenge. Then you showed up all doughy-eyed and broken, and the idea of a ticking Robin bomb was too good to resist. A sidekick, an apprentice gaining the Titans' trust by day while chipping away at their squeaky clean image by night. And here, in the end, hitting them where I know it'll hurt most. Then we have another audience insert character. I guess this time it's actually going to be Brick. I don't understand any of this. Yes, that's correct. Nobody does. And then the real Red X says, but Mr. Nightwing is beginning to. He can see where this is heading, so I guess we can just cut to the chase. You failed him. And then we get the next swerve. The real Red X right in front of Dick Grayson, who apparently is no longer a hero. And all these other kids that are in an academy to learn how to be heroes just let him essentially be impaled by Red X's sword. A lot of heroes in this picture right here, right? Just letting their classmate who's been manipulated and abused by this Red X character, just allowing him to be filleted right in front of them. Real good training going on at the Teen Titans Academy. Once again, I don't think Tim Sheridan and the editorial staff realize the implications of just how stupid and inept you're making one Dick Grayson look right here, and all the other students who are doing nothing to save this character. And Red X does make it out alive. He's the one that escapes. He wasn't the Red X. The Red X that we've been reading about wasn't the Red X that was the mystery. The real Red X that was the mystery, you don't even know who he is. 12 issues in, they said, this is the issue. You learn the identity of Red X. But you learn the identity of imposter Red X, who was manipulated by the real Red X. My. What a reveal. I wonder why Tim Sheridan's on my never buy list. I couldn't have predicted this. I couldn't have predicted it exactly. But I could have predicted that it was going to end pretty shitty just by what I had read so far. Now, there were some interviews leading up to this that I want to go through that kind of talk about why DC's marketing of this. And they said front and center, not only on the covers, which you saw multiple times, it was always Red X. They were saying, who is Red X? That's the mystery. We're going to pay this off. It's going to be worth your money to invest in this comic book for the mystery of who is Red X that we're bringing from the animated universe into the comic books. This is what one Tim Sheridan said to Newsarama in August of 2021. The awful thing about me is that if I had my way, you would literally never learn this Red X true identity. You'd learn about their motivations and their plans, but you might never learn who's under the mask, because I think that mystery is part of what makes the character compelling. However, I am aware of fans' eagerness to have that information revealed, and I always say give the people what they think. You definitely throws in the think. They what? We've come up with a story that I believe will address what fans are looking for and still preserve some of that mystery that I think is so integral to Red X. So Tim Sheridan wanted to have his cake and eat it too. He didn't want to reveal who Red X was, but he knew he had to reveal who Red X was. So he revealed that Red X wasn't Red X, that he was an imposter that had been manipulated, and he didn't actually have to reveal who the real Red X was. And he did get to explain what its motivations are and keep the character compelling. Although it's unfortunate that so many people's wallets were compelled to spend money for this comic book. And this ultimately just terrible reveal. And this is in contrast to what Tim Sheridan said to Den of Geek in February 2021 in another interview. He said, the most important thing to me is the mystery. That question of who is Red X is at the core of the character. I know who Red X is, but I think it's important for the fans to get a chance to solve the mystery. I don't think there was a big mystery about this. I don't think he let out the breadcrumbs and the clues to where you had to know, if you've been paying attention, that it was Brick. I think Brick just comes out of nowhere and was just a plot device, essentially, so he wouldn't have to actually reveal who Red X really is, at least in his mind. And I think that's disappointing because so many people, invested money and time in this. I know a lot of people dropped off if they were smart and they saw the writing on the wall. They've been watching Thinking Critical, and I explained to them what a terrible comic book writer Tim Sheridan is. Obviously, he's had some success in animation, but I don't think the boy has a future in the comic books. There's another interview with butwhythoughpodcast.com from January 2022 that I do think explains or puts a spotlight on why this is executed so poorly and why it's so disappointing, because this is not what Tim Sheridan was writing the comic book for. He threw in the Red X mystery because he was told to by DC Comics in their editorial, but that's not what he was trying to execute in Teen Titans Academy. And I think that's one of the reasons that threw readers off and they took a mass exodus from the title. It was clear from the very beginning what Tim Sheridan was interested in was representation in comic books. And this interview from January 2022, they asked him, why is it so important to have such diverse characters in the new generation of Teen Titans? He says, I've lived in major metropolitan areas. I've lived in New York and Chicago and London and Los Angeles. Teen Titans Academy is what the world looks like. And not only about what people look like, there are like 10 queer characters at the Teen Titans Academy. I think in total, there might be 20 characters in this series, and 10 of them are queer. Is that really what the world looks like? If you look at Los Angeles or New York or Chicago or London as a whole, as he's bragging about all the places he lived, hey, I've been to London too. I've lived in Korea. I've lived in Afghanistan. I've lived in Alaska. I've lived in England. I've been all over the world too. And I've never seen anywhere where 50% of the population as a whole were queer. So I don't think this is actually a good representation of what the world really looks like outside your window. Although that's a Marvel thing, not a DC thing. Perhaps you're at the wrong publisher. But it's clear that his goal and what he wanted to accomplish in this was to introduce more LGBTQ plus characters. And he certainly was able to accomplish that. So I think in Sheridan's mind, he probably thinks he did a good job. In DC Comics' mind, if they're looking at it as a business, they probably disagree with him. But he does go on and elaborates a little bit more what his real focus was. For me, as a queer creator, I think there are great, wonderful books where that is really important part of the story. That is the source for the drama. And there's room for that, but I haven't really seen a book that had a bunch of queer characters and had it not be something that is part of the drama of the story. I came into this thinking this is the generation of kids that are better than my generation. I've seen a lot of books, especially in comics, that have tons of queer characters. I don't know what comic industry you, sir, are reading, but it's not to what I'm reading because I see plenty of representation in modern comic books. As far as their sexuality being the source of the drama, there's plenty of comic books where the sexuality of the characters being LGBTQ is the source of the drama. They're on the indie comic scene where those comic books have their niche and their audience. It's not really a whole lot into the DC comics or Marvel comics because these are mainstream. They don't really service a niche audience. And I think this is the reason ultimately this comic book failed on such a high scale level and so many people, evacuated. They could see that the reason this comic book was created from Tim Sheridan's mind was identity politics and to create 10 new LGBTQ plus characters to put in the DC Comics universe. So in that case, he probably succeeded. For DC Comics and DC Comics readers, I don't think he succeeded because this reveal is so underwhelming, so lame. And there's 3 swerves in here, and each one of them are dumber than the ones before. But I will give Tim Sheridan credit because even the characters in the story realize none of this makes sense. And this is actually completely stupid. And there's probably no reason for us to be doing this story. But unfortunately, that is your big payoff. There's a reason this comic book got canceled. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about the Teen Titans Academy as a whole, why Tim Sheridan is on my never buy list, I made this video not too long ago talking about the cancellation of this title, which is coming up very soon. I definitely think you should check it out and really learn about why Tim Sheridan is one of the worst comic book writers in the entire industry, and he's only written like 4 comic series.